So, after taking a step back from Destiny, the game that I basically spent the last 10 years of my life playing, I have quite the backlog built up. But this also allowed me to do something I haven't often got to do over the last decade, that being, get excited for upcoming games. So here's a list of 5 titles that I'm looking forward to hopping into once they release. And I gotta say, I'm kind of a sucker for games that have sprouted out of an odd concept. I mean, I just finished and really enjoyed Pirate Yakuza, a pirate game set in the present day. Now I've got my sights set on Knights and Dinosaurs. The small Danish game development company Northplay is bringing us Dinolords. On the surface, it just kind of looks like your typical settlement building / defense strategy game, with the twist being, not only do you have to defend your lands from Viking invaders, you have dinosaurs to contend with as well. And the gameplay looks like it should hit all the right notes for me. It's very reminiscent of the RTS games that I played when I was a kid, like Warcraft Orcs vs. Humans or Age of Empires, except with a little more current gen feel and, well, dinosaurs. And while there is no solid release date announced for this one just yet, Northplay is hoping to have an early access build ready by the end of 2025. I gotta say though, I am rooting for this game, and I'm rooting for this studio to succeed as well. After watching some of the development update videos that Northplay has released, they look like a very small, tight-knit bunch who are extremely passionate about the project that they're working on. And I do always like supporting indie development studios when I can. I'd much rather funnel my money in that direction than to a mega corporation whose goal is simply to farm their player base for profit. So here's to hoping that the rest of their development goes smoothly, and I hope Dinolords lands big for them. Alright, before you run down to the comments and start slamming on the keys to say, "Stupid Ironworker, Path of Exile 2's been out for a few months now." I know, I am very aware of that fact, but unless I'm grossly misinformed, only like maybe half of the full game's content is available in the early access build, so I made the conscious decision to wait for the complete release, which should be going live by the end of the year. The reason for that being, I was never really a Path of Exile fanatic. I did play the original, I did really enjoy it, but I played it casually. I mean, I wasn't going out of my way to min-max, I wasn't online looking up optimal skill tree paths, I didn't have the schedule for launch of new leagues committed to memory. I just took the game as it came, enjoyed it at my own pace, and I did appreciate it for what it was. And while I did have a lot of fun approaching it in this manner, I wasn't in any rush to dive into PoE 2 on day one. Once we do get that full release though, I do plan on spending a good bit of time with it. How much remains to be seen. Here again, I'll probably just feel it out as I go. But I gotta say, the sheer complexity and depth of the systems presented, while they may be a turnoff for some, for me is the most intriguing aspect of the game. I like to build craft, I like to tinker, I like to try new things, optimization be damned. And given the depth of the game, it seems to provide a lot of opportunities for you to stretch your legs in that respect. And I mean, slaying mobs' enemies and collecting loot is something that I don't think I'll ever really tire of. So yeah, while I am very excited to get into the full release of Path of Exile 2, I am content sitting tight a little bit longer before it drops. I've got plenty of other games to keep me occupied in the meantime. Number 3 on my list is Kingmakers, and I would have to assume that many of you out there are familiar with this one. When this game's trailer was first unleashed on the world, there was a good bit of buzz surrounding it. If you're not familiar, this game should answer the age-old question of, what if we had machine guns in medieval times? Much like Dinolords, which we saw earlier, things open up as a traditional medieval strategy game, but of course that all breaks down when a pickup truck rips through a time portal and starts plowing through mobs of foot soldiers. And while it does seem that the game will retain some of the strategy aspects in large-scale battles, you're going to be inserting yourself into the action by way of third-person shooter gameplay. And I'm almost certain that 8-year-old me discussed the concept of this game with my friends at the cafeteria lunch table. Thanks to Kingmakers, that speculation will become reality, and I only had to wait 33 years for it to manifest itself. And hopefully, we don't have to wait too much longer for this one. Redemption Road and Tiny Build, the respective developer and publisher of Kingmakers, did have Q1 of 2025 targeted for the early access release. If they are able to get it out in the projected window, that means we could see this game by the end of the month. If not, I'm not too worried about it. I am a patient man. I really just want this game to work properly when I do get my hands on it. It would be a damn shame for a game centered around such a cool concept to come out a buggy mess. But when it does drop, if it plays as well as it looks, and everything runs smoothly, I anticipate many hours of fun out of this one. But we'll see, and with any luck, we'll see sooner rather than later. Hello Games, the makers of No Man's Sky's next project is Light No Fire, a game that somehow almost feels more ambitious than creating a universe with 18 quintillion planets. Light No Fire is touted as a fantasy building, crafting, survival, exploration game with RPG elements, set on a procedurally generated planet that is the physical size of the Earth. And visually, this game does look absolutely stunning. In the snippets that we've seen so far, it's a living, breathing world that truly feels alive. Whether they can actually maintain that feel across the landscape of an entire planet remains to be seen, but damn, here's to hoping that they can actually pull it off. But just from the bits and pieces of information that we have about this game thus far, for me personally, I don't think that there's a box that this game isn't going to check. Am I a little bit concerned about Light No Fire though? Given the promised scope and size of the project? Yes, I am. I'm sure most gamers remember the disastrous launch that Hello Games had with No Man's Sky, and a repeat of that would be an utter tragedy. But we also got to witness firsthand how Hello Games put their heads down, went to work, continued to roll out improvements, and turned No Man's Sky from the laughingstock of the games industry into a fully fleshed out and feature-rich space exploration game, the likes of which some thought impossible. So I really hope the studio can take everything that it's learned along the way and inject that into Light No Fire. And honestly, I want them to take as long as they need to do so. Now, if you're someone who's been keeping tabs on this game, I'm sure you've seen all the clickbait bullshit. You know, the Light No Fire 2025 ? Honestly, I think this game is still a good ways off, and I really don't care if it doesn't launch until 2030. If Sean Murray and company can actually deliver on a game of this magnitude and make it fun to play, it stands the chance of being a generation-defining title. But in that respect, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Yeah, I can hear the collective, "Oh, really, Ironworker? Destiny 2 at number 1? Listen, this is my list, and Destiny 2 has been my game for a quarter of my life. But that being said, it is on this list for a very different reason than the previous titles. Destiny 2 Frontiers, which is going to feature 2 smaller expansions, is the next step forward for the game, and we expect to see it in the summer of 2025. And there have been bits of information dropped along the way as to what we can expect moving forward, but what we know and what we don't know is kind of inconsequential to me at this point. Game developer Bungie has had a lot of do or die moments with this franchise over the years, and I wrote out every single one of them, only really stepping away if there was another game releasing that I was really looking forward to playing. Over, I'd say, the last few years though, these breaks have been increasing in both frequency and duration. My most recent lapse, though, feels different. There wasn't anything really pulling me away from the game, I just very abruptly lost all interest to play, let alone cover, Destiny. So Destiny 2 Frontiers kind of feels like that do or die moment for me. I want to see if Bungie can actually make some moves that are going to reignite my passion for the game. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take more than just a piecemealed story, a new activity, sandbox changes, or new guns to do so. And I honestly can't articulate what exactly it is that I want at this point, but it probably would involve major systemic changes, the likes of which I doubt Bungie as a studio has the bandwidth to pull off. I am going to reserve judgment though, and even though I'm not actively playing right now, I do have my ear to the ground. I still keep tabs on the game, I keep current with the weekly news, and I'm very interested to hear what Bungie has planned going forward. But if what's around the corner doesn't resonate with what I'm looking for, it might be time to officially close this chapter of my life. I'm not going to play the fool and sit idly by, waiting for something that's never going to happen. And I really want Bungie to surprise me. I just don't know if they can. But we'll see. That's all I got for you in this one though. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one.